Second, can I have a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry about that. I had it too hard. If there's an emergency in the building, you could exit through the back doors or go out the door to my left, down the stairs, and away from the building. Roll call, please.
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Here.
Kevin Zorda.
Here.
Virginia Higley. Here. Kelly Hemler.
Here.
Dylan Bridge.
Here.
Ann Collins is absent. Ken Kaufman.
Here.
Christopher No is absent. And Robert Gillespie.
Here.
I'd like to seat Robert. Okay. Public communications and petitions. Is there anybody in the audience who want to speak on items not on the agenda? Again, anybody want to speak on items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Correspondence. Oh, I got to get my piece of paper out. So on August 25th, we should have all received an email from Donna Richer, and it's about some upcoming land use training and seminars.
Yep.
So hopefully everybody got that. And that's that. Minutes of preceding meetings, July 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July 15th, 2025.
Second.
That was Dylan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin and Dylan. No, you're good. Does anybody have any comments? No, it's okay. Okay. The one I was going to question on the bottom of page 1, the motion by Kevin and seconded by Ginny. Virginia, was that Dylan? I had Dylan, but I'm not sure. You don't remember?
I don't remember either. I think I did, but I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll leave it. Okay, thank you. We'll just leave it as is. Okay. Okay, can I have roll call?
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley. Yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Next is our town attorney report dated August 25th. It's the update regarding items in litigation. We have no continued public hearings, no new public hearings, no old business, no new business. So enforcement reports. We have A, 14 West Shore Drive, cease and desist. Is the people here?
Come on.
Hi, welcome. Could you state your name and address for the records, please?
Chelsea Aiken, 14 West Shore Drive.
Nelson Aiken, 18 West Shore Drive.
Okay. Do you want to give us a rundown?
So our office received some complaints regarding activity at 14 West Shore Drive that was outside the scope of the approved plans. I went back and checked. The approval was on May 21st of 2024. And in August of 2024, Stephen went out and checked the ENS, it was not a pre-construction meeting, but just to establish whether or not the silt fencing and the erosion and sediment control measures were in place. Construction began, and in July of this year, the GC, Tom, I have his name in my report. He was a GC for the project, came into the office asking for a CO for the project. There were issues, the project isn't completed, and Stephen went out shortly after that in July, took some more pictures, and there's an issue because the driveway isn't in place. Normally, engineering wouldn't sign off on a project, and at that time, talking to Tom, the GC, he said, well, there's more hardscaping that needs to be put in. And we didn't have any plans for any hardscaping. So I asked him what it was, and he said that the property owner wasn't really sure herself at that time. So I sent an email off on July 7th, I believe. Yep, July 7th. And I never got a reply on it. And it asked, we do not have any information regarding the hardscaping that you are contemplating, and we will need to see some sort of diagram, including elevations for hardscaping if you're planning, that have any type of raised patios or structures. So I never got a response. And then recently, I started receiving the complaints about activity out there. I should go back actually to, in July, an application was submitted to install a propane tank. And initially, they wanted to, it should be in your file there too. Initially, they wanted to put it down where on the approved plans show an existing propane tank. But that was outside your scope of approval. And I told them that they would have to come back before this commission and seek approval for that because they were going to have to excavate. They then changed their minds about putting it there and installed one in the street side, in front of the home on the street side, which is the rear yard out there. So I have communications from them, that's also in your packet, regarding that application. And like I said, recently, there were complaints filed about activity down by the lake itself outside the scope. So I'll show you a couple things here on the screen regarding it. I guess we'll start with, these are the ENS inspections back in 2024.
Can we get it put up on our, thank you.
Is it up there?
Yep.
Okay. All right, that would be the south side of the house. Steve, can you move back? Because I can't. Okay, thanks. Some more silting along that side. If you would take note of this wall that's existing there. And this wall too. And then we will go to see the final plans, approved plans. These were the approved plans. This area here of the patio, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Of the patio is actually 25 feet to this point here. And then on these approved plans, it shows a walkway going to here. So if we go back now to some of these photos, you'll see what is actually there. That's the where the propane tank is near the roadside. This is all new in here. This is all new in here. When I went there, this was being stored there. There wasn't anybody on site at the time. This is the propane tank that's down by the water. You'll see that there's new decals on that. The complaint that I received was that over the weekend, it would be 2 weekends ago now, that they replaced this tank.
Is that always there, or is that brand new?
It shows on the plans an existing tank, but according to the complainant, they excavated and put that tank in, a new tank.
Tapes everything. Check the video.
So again, this is all new in here. This doesn't even follow the plans. This is a new seawall. You'll see others in the photos, which we have no engineering plans for or anything like that, which this commission normally asks for. So, go back. Those were photos that I took. Then I went back on the 21st. That's the cover for that tank. You'll see proximity to and the concern of the citizen was that that tank is in such close proximity to the water. If they excavated any propane leakage, anything like that. Although there was one there before. I guess we all may know about liquid propane, what it's going to do. It's going to sink pretty much. You know, some will come up, but it stays low. But you can see this area here that activity is taking place in, that's outside that 25-foot patio area. This is all work that was outside that patio area. Or, I'm sorry, outside the approved plans. This is all new. None of this was on your approved plans. And it's all outside the scope of the approval. That's an old portion of the wall that was there. Some boulders and rocks. This is the new section.
Are those hay bales staked down or anything?
No. No, they were just sitting. Let's see. All right, so this is that permit that they asked for the propane tank. And this is my communication back and forth about if they wanted to replace it, then they would have to come back before you. And they sent back on May 21st a response that they were just going to move it up to the front. And this is initially where they wanted to install it, next to the existing one. And ultimately, they chose to put a new one towards the front. This is the roadway up here, West Shore Drive. So that one is there installed. So I will, well, I guess I'll show you these. These were photos that I received this morning. Let's see if I can increase this. The individual that was complaining was reporting that they're pumping water out of the lake. There's a hose going into the lake there, and the other one is at actually 18. That's Mr. Aiken's address at 18 West Shore. Another one you can see right here, which is not allowed. Oh. They're using it for irrigation on the property. Pointed out there. Again, also you can see that this is a new wall here, there and across here, and that portion there. That is outside the scope of the approval, all this work here. And that's where they're irrigating with the water coming out of the lake. Again, watering from the lake. And up in front, trees where they're irrigating. And let's see. And these photos submitted by the complainant were taken this morning. That shows the patio and extensive work out there. As I said, the approval was only 25 feet out from the back of the house. This is well beyond that point. Now all these rocks have been put down around that existing, or that where the propane tank is down towards the water. They also installed other shrubbery. I was out there
Existing.
Friday and handed Mr.
You have no
Aiken.
reason to believe it's new.
I handed Mr.
Saying
Aiken.
complain's not always right.
I handed Mr. Aiken the cease and desist because I checked online, it wasn't, I was getting complaints about the activity going on. So I drove out there Friday, I handed him a copy of the cease and desist, and at that time, they were putting down sod. And I basically told them they could put down the sod, but nothing further than the front line of the house. That's the lake side of the house. No more activity there. They obviously ignored what I told them, and they put down further sod. They did other deposits of rocks in front, or not, well, the front side. All that in there. All this is all new sod. They were only, I told them explicitly up to here, and that was it. Nothing down towards the work area because of the cease and desist. And they ignored that. And again, they ignored the my email to them asking them for input into what exactly they planned for hardscaping. So there's a number of violations here, some of which,
So that email came after Tom had talked to you, so I thought he cleared it with you. So my apologies on that. That's a misunderstanding.
I'm sorry?
Tom, he had a personal face-to-face meeting with you. The email that you sent me was prior to Tom meeting with you, so
That was after. That was the same day he met with me.
that's my misunderstanding then.
It was the same day because part of the issue was whether or not we were going to sign off or take a bond for the driveway. But I didn't never got a response. There's no CO that's going to be issued at this point in time until this matter's cleared up with this agency. There's a couple points that I think should be addressed by the agency. First, I think that they should be inspecting what's called the existing propane tank to determine whether or not it actually has been changed or not. I would think that they would have to submit plans, including engineering plans for that seawall and the hardscaping, just because there's a number of reasons. The history is that anything built on the waterway itself, facing the water or going up to the actual water's edge, needs an engineering
Yeah,
document. Also, with all that hardscaping there,
the impervious is,
I don't know how that's going to affect any type of stormwater runoff. It's going to go someplace, and what gets drained off may be of issue to the lake. So that's an issue there. And I should say that, actually, I'll show it to you. Let's see. This was the final as-built that was submitted to our office on July 7th also. That was given to us by the GC at the time. This isn't even close to what's out there. It doesn't even show the supposedly pre-existing propane tank over here. And
does it show the new one? Is that the new one? It's too small, I can't tell. Is that it on the, right there?
let me,
Supposedly the new one's at the road.
Right.
yeah, let me see. I think that,
Is that it?
yep, that's the
Okay.
new one that they installed. And this is dated, well, there's a revision date here. Let me show you. Of 6/19/25, submitted to us on the 7th of July. And on July 7th, that's when the GC asked about issuance of a CO. But if you look back, this is 10/18/24, that's the original one. Those were the plans. These are the plans that they submitted back when they came before you for a review for the
So
approval.
they didn't do as-built? They
No,
just-
no.
That's the existing house. You're not even on the right plan.
No, that's what they submitted.
That's what your
GC
engineers submitted to us. So I'll just show you a couple photos and we can move on. This is from Nearmap. These are aerials that highlight some of the features. Existing in-ground propane tank over here. work done, the blue area is all work that's been done outside the scope of the approval. There's silt fencing here. That was an existing brick wall there. The other propane, new propane tanks up in front. That was pre any of the hardscape being put into place. That's dated April 17th of 2025. That was prior to, this is back in April of 2024, before any work. And let's see if you can see the walkway that's there. That was actually on the approved plans, but they were moving the house back, so the patio area would have been right here with a walkway going down, and that was the limitation of work under the scope of the approval. And again, that's just this area here. You'll see that, obviously from the other photos, that work has been done in that area that was outside the approval. So unless you have any other questions, that's about it for now. I guess I can.
Any response, or?
I'd like to make a couple comments. The first being, when we came to the hearing for our original permit approval, we were asked right to us, are we going to touch the seawalls? And we commented, no, we're not touching the seawalls at all. Nor did we. We haven't to this day. The wall that's down there that the gentleman referred to is sitting on top of a concrete slab that's been there since 1974 when Pete Oko poured it. It's got a full footing under it. I'm sure Ginny Higley can stand for that. She knows who he was, did a lot of work around the lake. That's all we did was put a couple retaining. The problem is when they did the site work, so a lot of the stuff that he's pointed out was already agitated or destroyed from, because the lot's 70 by 160, and the house consumes a pretty good portion of it. So once they excavated for the foundation, there leaves not much room to the imagination, and the only thing that we did by the seawall was we took down some ornamental grasses that blocked the view of the lake. There's nothing else touched by the seawall, nothing. All we did was grade it back and put down fabric and stone so that it would evaporate whatever water that comes down there. Instead of grass that used to be grass all the way to the lake, with runoff and mulch by the seawall every time it rained hard. We feel like we probably improved it, but I guess my neighbor seems to think differently. We're
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean,
We're sorry.
yeah, honestly, we probably should have asked for a definition of seawall when we started, because apparently we were not in the same understanding of what that was to what you're taking it to be. And also, I do plenty of permits myself, and never have I heard of pavers and boulders being required for a permit, but I guess that's different being in the wetlands. So,
Yes, it is.
again,
time.
I apologize.
But if that's the case, then how does the gentleman that's casting our violations just put 2 tool sheds up and all kinds of shrubs
Yeah.
that we did in the wetlands? So he's in the upland review doing the same thing we're doing.
That's different, that's a different application, so,
Yeah.
And his fences on my
yeah,
property.
no, that's different. So I'm sorry, this is what we're talking about.
How do we rectify it is what we're getting at.
How do we rectify it?
Is there something
We
that
could
we
make
can
you
do?
remove it all and put it back to what it was.
Would that make it better, though? I mean, it's gonna cause
We
more
we
harm.
couldn't, well, it doesn't matter. We could make you take it all out and put it back. You did not have approval.
Right, we don't want
So-
you to do that. We wanna come to a
Yes, we do. So,
agreeable, something that we can come to, and
yes, we do.
we
So,
asked that, could you possibly do a site visit?
Well, that's not going to
No,
help. What we
that's
need
not
is
gonna help.
calculations. We need an engineer to go in there and calculate runoff and all the calculations, because you put hardscape in here, so water just runs right off of that, right
right
into
off
the
it.
lake. Literally, it's inches from the lake. So with all that greenery that you had in there, those ornamental grasses, normal grass, that slows things down. Stuff percolates
Cleans
into
it
the
out.
ground, cleans it out. This just lets everything go in there. So and that's.
Not good.
Yeah, that's not good.
They need, like you said, they need to look at that propane tank, inspect the tank. That has to be done.
More than welcome to.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
tell you truthfully that nothing's changed.
Well, we need to have it inspected.
Well, it looks like the grade has changed quite a bit, because
Yeah.
I saw the first picture of that existing tank, there was this much showing. Your last picture, I mean, it showed like 3 or 4
just the
feet
cover.
above the ground, maybe 3 feet, not 4. But, and then
Yeah,
the
propane
the
goes
last
right
one, it's right up, it's almost covering it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there, that's showing, that's the one in the back, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was existing, and that's also the one in the back, or is that the one in the front?
I'm sorry, hold on one second, I'll get you the other one, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Can I show you a picture of what was there?
yeah, that one.
That one
Yeah,
there.
that's the one out by the
Okay,
water.
so it's not 3 feet.
Yeah,
It's
it looks
up.
It's still
different
up,
because the
yeah.
grasses are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the existing,
What was there?
but, so that's, and that
That's the
does,
existing.
that does look old to me, that doesn't
It
look.
does,
Yeah.
but that's a
You are
cover.
More than
right.
welcome to go
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
Yeah.
can you
needs-
get an affidavit from your people saying that they didn't put in a new one?
That's me, I'm the people.
Oh,
She's
you
the
are,
boss.
you do it yourself,
And-
okay, that's your job.
I am state licensed and insured through high-grade gas.
Oh, okay.
So it looks
Ah,
new
okay.
That is,
because
I am the
Okay.
my
contractor.
boyfriend sanded it down, painted it black,
Okay.
put new stickers on it. That's
Okay.
why it looks new.
So, but even looking at this, and then the existing picture, it's at least a foot that you've increased the grade there.
Right.
'Cause-
That's probably out of the ground 8 inches.
Right, because we took the sod down, and if you went back to the pictures he showed originally when they were doing all the site work, that tank was basically buried with fill of where they excavated for the foundation. So that silt fence was right where the silt fence was in front of the tank. So when they cast their dirt, that's how far back the dirt was when they were casting. I mean, there was no room
I
on
mean,
site.
I got nothing to hide. You can go inspect
Yeah.
it, do what you gotta do.
And we still
with it.
need it inspected.
Yeah, we need that and.
The grading and
then
everything else.
You have to get an engineering report
Yeah. Yeah, definitely need an engineering report.
with,
The final plans need to be redone so they're accurate.
yeah.
Yeah. You need to stop pumping water out of the lake.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of people upset on Shaker Pines.
Well, unfortunately, we've had some issues where the association that we have no control over sends out letters sometimes. We
Yeah.
had that a couple years ago where they sent out, now we're dropping the lake, now's the time to do all of this and this. And
That's not, yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm sure you want to protect the lake as much as we do, right? You're living there, you're going to see it
I've
every
been there for
morning, right?
65
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah.
So there's rules, and that's what they're there for. There's no cease and desist on that portion?
Only on 14, I didn't issue one to Mr. Aiken at 18.
All right.
I can
So
do
we
so.
should probably do it just to be on
Yeah.
the up and up. Just so that you know you can't pump water out of
Either.
there.
Yeah, nobody can. Yeah.
I got kind of a question. Did you say you pulled the tank and cleaned it, repainted it, and put new stickers? So is it a DOT or an ASME tank?
Cover. I think he said
Cover.
the cover. Just the
The-
cover. he
The
said.
shroud.
The shroud.
Right, is it a DOT tank in there or ASME tank in there?
Yep.
So I would say you got to get an engineering report.
Yeah.
So, and then come back to us and let's see what that looks like, how this hardscape is going to
Impact.
affect that, and what it's going to look like, and see what might need to be done to kind of mitigate that. And maybe they can give you some ideas. Maybe where you have that gray course there, maybe they need to put in some sort of drainage system or something to slow it down. I don't know, you know what I mean? But we do need you to, so these hay bales are just sitting on a concrete slab, is that it?
And the concrete slab is approximately 18 inches above water level.
Yeah,
And when we get flooded, so ever since the town of Enfield dumped all their catch basins in the lake, when it rains hard, the lake comes up about 2 feet in an hour. That patio that was there, we were just trying to correct a measure that we knew was an issue.
Yeah.
So that we used to get flooded with water, And if there was lawn chairs there, it would, take them away. You know, it was just, that's
No,
what it
I
was.
get it. I get why you did it, and so my concern is these hay bales aren't really slowing anything down.
No. They're going to degrade.
So
Yeah.
if you look to the left, the far wall,
Yeah,
we really didn't have a lot of options because when the site contractor did the site, which on the plans it says it's okay,
yeah,
they had to run the drainage for the footing drains and the storm drains, and they had to get through, and they knocked the wall out that was there, which was actually the only piece that was holding back anything. So that was an issue that we had to deal with, and I figured that was an easy solution.
yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad you put the hay bales in there. I think what might help to prevent
Keep them there.
is to actually put them up on top of where that gray strip is, so that maybe you can you pull a couple of those, just stake them in, because you don't want them, washing off if we get it's peak hurricane season, right? So I would say just do that just until you get back here with the
Everything else.
engineering report.
So when you say engineering report, do we go to our people that did our site survey?
As long as they're licensed engineers,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. And I would talk to your, the as-built, that definitely you have to have a true as-built.
So we'll back up a step. When they came to do the as-built, the gentleman's next door that's making the complaints, his fence is actually on our property by a foot. He went over to put a pin in on her property, and he came out and questioned what he was doing on that side of the fence, and it's like, he goes, the town wants me to put a pin in. So he had to pin that property line, and, we've been nice to him so far, and he's
Yeah.
got some problems, obviously. But when we go and do this, how do we approach that? Do we take the fence down and work the grade that way, or?
No, I'm talking about the as-built. So when you have
Right.
to submit the as-built.
If you look at the as-built it has the fence on our property, so it actually doesn't belong to us. So do we ask that to be removed before we do the as-built?
Well, you could, because
it's on your
technically is property. And you could say to him, you need to remove that fence, it's on our property.
So the
Because the fence is on your property, you have to put that on the plan.
The gentleman that came out to do the as-built, I guess he asked somebody in the town what they wanted for an as-built. Do they want landscaping and everything? And they said, not for residential. And that's,
I don't
I
know
was
who
there
they
today,
talk-
the gentleman
I don't
came.
know who they talked to,
I don't know
but
who they talked to, but whatever, it sounds like your GC just sent the
Original one.
original plans. They didn't send as-built.
Right.
Because you even said, as we were going through it, that's just the old
Well, we
plan.
have the old
So
house on
maybe
it.
he just sent the wrong plan, who knows, but.
Yeah, we need a real one.
They need the as-built.
All as-bills are at A2 accuracy.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they would show footings, supposed to show footing drains and
Yeah,
everything that's been, all the improvements.
yeah,
yeah.
Maybe he's got the current one, but he
Yeah.
hasn't sent
And
it.
we should check out the seawall to make sure
Attachment.
everything.
that it's actual, not changed,
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously on top there, I don't know what's below it.
right?
There's no way for us to tell exactly if it's on a slab, the existing slab that's there. These here are new, up along there.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, that looks.
This is all new covering. I don't know what's down below. But even with that being said, we don't know, we'd still need the engineering because we don't know if this is going to
that's
fail
built
at
right.
any point in time.
Right.
Yeah,
So even if it's on the slab that it pre-existed, this whole area here is not on their approved plans. It all,
is
it's
that
all
granite? Is that
altogether
curb,
different.
like the front of that granite,
The front is bluestone.
bluestone? Okay.
I mean, we're not trying to drag the neighborhood down, trust me.
No, it looks beautiful. We're not saying that at all.
Yeah, looks nice.
Yeah,
The issue is too, I mean, they were issued the permit
Right.
and the
Yeah.
approval. It's explicit that if there's any changes that are to
Oh,
be
yes.
made, to contact us. They acknowledged receipt of the notice of decision and the permit. And we try to go out of our way to try to keep track of these projects that are going on, and we kind of leave it up to the applicant to go along with the
Be
approved
honest.
plans.
And do it the right way.
And this is not what was
Is
approved.
now was approved, definitely not.
But there's a path to fix it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And depending on the engineering report, maybe it's okay. Maybe there,
Yeah.
there's minimal if any changes, but we don't know until we see those
Yeah,
numbers.
Other plans, yeah.
So I would say we'll just keep the cease and desist in order. We'll issue him a cease and desist just for the watering, and then just get the engineering report and just stay in touch with Stephen. He'll kind of tell you exactly what we're looking for,
And Rick,
and Rick for
Yeah.
calculations. Yeah.
and we need the
Right.
hardscaping plans and all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
final plans.
And you're going to want a new site plan for that, what's what's existing right now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So just talk to them. They'll go
Yeah.
through everything. All right.
I just want to say that, I think we want to try to make everything kosher. I think honestly, I didn't know that, again, it was a wetlands issue and not just a pavers thing.
Yeah.
And I just ask for your open-mindedness and honesty instead of,
Yeah.
just siding with I don't want to be the villain in this case.
No.
I know
Yeah.
we violated some things and we're going to make
Absolutely.
that right.
We are not on one person's side or the other.
Nope.
We're on the lake
Lake
side,
side.
I
okay?
appreciate it.
So
I
that's
appreciate it.
that's all we really care about is the health of the lake and the
And we know
wetlands.
you want to do what's
And,
best
yep.
for the lake, so as long as you're working with us, we'll,
And we
there's gotta
don't
be some way to do
overlook
it.
what other people are doing. If it's not reported to us, we don't know about those things. And, we act on every single, Rick goes out to every single one he gets a call from, so it's not anything personal. Like I said, it looks beautiful. If we can let it stay, I'd love to let it stay.
We may not
It's
be able
just a
to.
matter of, right.
Yeah.
We just got to see what's going to happen with everything. Even the area where you have the river boulders,
that's
because
gonna
because you have the fabric under that, that's going to cause some runoff there too. Those boulders don't really stop much. You know what I mean? They're too big, and so that's what it is. It's the runoff that's going to come off of this because of that. So
We can't finish the driveway
Nope.
until we have something for an answer out back, so as long as everybody still understands that that's gonna still be remained open, it was supposed to get paved next week. But I guess we'll hold off right now.
yeah. I'd hold off,
Yep.
just in case. Yep.
Okay. And we're half sodded, don't finish the rest of the sod either.
Nope.
Well, especially since you can't pump, I wouldn't be putting down sod now if you can't water it.
Okay.
Right? You don't want to kill. You got a well, I assume. Right?
No, city water.
Oh, is it city water?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Pardon?
Building department.
Yeah.
Janice has been out there.
I'm sure she'll be able to look in and see if it's a new tank. That's easy. That's easy.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions? Any other questions or anything?
I think we've taken in enough.
No.
Okay.
Good.
Guess that's it.
We're good?
So, no, yep, we're good.
you.
Thank you.
for coming in. That's all we can do.
Next is 92 Post Office Road, cease and desist.
Hello.
Hello.
So, as you can see, that the
here.
the homeowner's not here, so I'll just read off my report. And I did have a conversation with the homeowner this morning. So on 8/20/2025, a complaint came into the office from Mike Menard that The wetlands conservation area at 92 Post had been decimated. Those were the words that they had used in their email.
I agree. Based on the pictures.
Just a little bit of background, 92 Post Office Road is a residentially zoned property in the R44 zone. It was a previously vacant parcel that was heavily wooded with wetlands located in the rear of the property line, pushing the 100-foot upland review area up to the southeast corner of the home. It was approved under Inland Wetlands 677, and the approved site plan shows a large boundary of wetlands that the town's GIS showing the wetlands are located in the rear of the property behind the proposed tree line. The property was inspected on 8/25/2025 around 12:10 p.m. The weather was overcast and warm. Upon arrival, no one else was on site, and I took pictures from the car. While I did note that there appears to be some clearing by the proposed conservation easement, it's hard to determine the exact location of where the clearing is at this time due to a lack of a final as-built. However, I noted that none of the erosion and sediment controls were in good condition. Most were removed with dirt exposed on the northern half of the property, and there was some remaining silt fencing along the northern border of the property. And what was remaining were just a few stakes in the ground without silt fencing attached to them, and alongside of the property, as the corner facing the street was only part of the silt fence was intact. It's worth noting that there was previous concerns filed for the conservation easement at the property. A wetland special meeting was held on March 3rd of 2025 for a site walk of the property. Commissioners Hemler, Kaufman, Higley, and Corbin Serbinski were all in attendance, along with Reinhard von Hollander and myself. The commission, along with Reinhard, only took note of the landscape as there was no conversation on the site walk. The following day, on March 4th, the commission reconvened with Reinhard and made the decision that the applicant shall do the following. The silt fencing was in poor condition. To please fix it so it complies with the soil erosion and sediment control standards. The commission noted that there were a few small piles of dirt around the property and that they had to be graded properly, which they had completed. A reminder to them to not bring extra soil onto the property, and if they were, to please inform us where that was coming from and where it's going, which they informed us that was coming from 100 Post Office Road, and that we asked that they have their land surveyor mark the front corners of the property, as well as the conservation easement with stakes and with a flag attached to them to clarify exactly where it is. While Reinhardt informed me that the soil piles were removed and that the topsoil was coming from another property, being, again, 100 Post Office Road. I never received a survey of the property to confirm the conservation easement was protected and that the silt fence appeared to have only gotten worse in condition before getting better. Since I can't confirm or deny the conservation easement, I cited them for Section 18 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Permit, which states that all temporary barriers, including erosion and sediment controls, are to be removed when the site is stabilized in suitable weather conditions. Sites considered stabilized when there's equal to or greater than 70% vegetative cover, and any person found to be in violation of said regulation is subject to the enforcement proceedings and penalties as prescribed in Section 14 of the Wetlands Regulations. I had sent them a cease and desist dated 8/26/2025, and it was sent certified mail. This morning on 9/2/25, I spoke with Reinhardt over the phone about the cease and desist order he had received. He explained to me that the work he was doing wouldn't likely pollute the wetlands due to its location outside of the wetland, and that the work he's currently doing, which consists of a little bit of grading and topsoil, would be tough to complete with the sediment and erosion controls in the way. I stated to him that if he needs to move the ENS controls out of the way while he does the work, he may do so, but the controls need to be put back in place after the work is done in order to prevent any sedimentation. I also stated that the controls need to be up until the property has reached 70% vegetation, as stated within the permit. He also then asks to change the cease and desist order to a cease and correct order, as he wouldn't be able to do the work necessary to fix the violation. I agreed with him on that statement, and I told him that I can change the order to a cease and correct so that he can do the work needed. I then sent Reinhardt an email stating that the cease and desist has been changed to a cease and correct, so that way he can correct the violation to be able to fix the work.
It has to be a cease and desist. We need that survey done. We've asked for that in March. This is what, September? And we're still waiting. It's a cease and desist until we get that survey. We're supposed to do some other things. 58 feet from the property line was supposed to be conserved, not touched. There is clearly new soil across that. That, we can make, take it up, we can make, fix it all. We need that survey. We need to know where that 58 feet is. We need to know where all the conservation area is. We can't touch it. We need that survey. Sorry, he hasn't paid attention. We've been complaints, multiple complaints on this property. And he ignores us. So put it back to a cease and desist, please. Does everybody agree?
So if we're issuing a new cease and desist, do we have to have another, is it a new, would it be considered new?
Well, no, because we didn't authorize it to be a cease and correct.
Yeah, but well, I'm just thinking legally.
Yeah, but we didn't authorize that.
Where's our lawyer?
He's out sick.
But he is our agent.
Yes.
So he does have legal authority to
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
to do that. But, so I think if we're issuing a new cease and desist, we'd have to have him in within 10 days.
That is correct. If we were to do a new cease and desist, he'd have to be in within 10 days, which, since the next meeting wouldn't be until the 16th,
Yep.
that second cease and desist wouldn't go out until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 5th, I believe. No, the 6th. I would have to mail it out to go out on the 6th. So I'd probably mail it out on the 8th to get them on the 16th.
Okay.
But even still, that being said, I can't determine exactly where that conservation easement has or has not been touched due to a lack of a survey. So for me to issue a cease and desist order, that could be an unlawful cease and desist order, which would put you guys more in trouble than if I have the hard evidence saying exactly where that property line is.
So with a cease and correct,
I don't agree.
who decides what the corrective measures are?
Yeah.
Well, the corrective measures would be, in this case, to have the silt fencing back up in place, fully compliant with the sediment and erosion controls to the 2024 standards, and that those controls are up at the end of every day to ensure that there's no sedimentation happening. Because I agree with him in that, some of the work he's doing with the regrading and the topsoils can be difficult with the ENS in the way. So this was a meet in the middle solution that I was thinking of at the time to say, okay, I'll work with you. You have to keep putting those controls back up, but you can move them temporarily to do the work, but then put it back once you're done doing the work on the day.
Because here's my thought is I'm thinking if we do a cease and desist, we still have to have them corrected.
Yeah.
That's going to do more damage, I think.
Well, cease and desist is to put
stuff.
the controls back, but that would be it.
Right, but that's it. That would be the same thing for the ceased and correct. Still have to put the controls have to go back up no
Yeah.
matter what.
Correct.
And have they been corrected as of today?
I have not had a chance to go out and check today. The car was, I believe it was in the shop with some repairs. So as soon as the car gets back, I can go out and take a look, see if they have been corrected.
His own car. My concern is the 58 feet.
I was just going to say.
If
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
damaged,
It is.
it'll take,
Yeah.
Going on the premise that-
You got to prove it.
not yet,
Yeah.
but before the next meeting, if it gets damaged or further damaged, we don't have the ability to put it back to what it is now.
What it was
It
before.
will take, yes, it'll take
Yeah.
years for it to go back to the way it was. And the longer we procrastinate to get that survey, or however you want to say it, the clarification of the 58 feet, the more damage that could be
happening.
done. I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose. I'm just saying that there's a good chance it could be, if it has been damaged, it could be further damaged.
If he built the house as he was supposed to, there's 78 feet from the end of the right side of the house. So from the end of that house, it was 78 feet was the property line. 58 feet coming this way was supposed to be conserved
Yep.
and not touched.
Yep.
So that means 20 feet from the house is all he could touch.
And that's more than that.
And it is way more than 20 feet.
Yeah.
It is way more than 20 feet.
Rick's got some.
A question for you. I'm not 100% familiar with the approval for that, but in March, I think you said that you had a meeting and you required him to submit a site plan.
Right, and the survey.
Well,
Yeah.
the survey. Was that a condition of that approval?
Yeah.
Then he would be in violation of the conditions of approval, and you can do that, you can issue the cease and desist based on that.
Oh,
Well,
Was there formal approval at that time? I don't remember. Do you have it?
so just to kind of refresh everyone, that timeline of events, that was an already approved project, and the violations were coming in after the project had been approved. And when we did that site walk, we said we had requested that they do their survey to prove where the property lines are and that the conservation easement has been protected. We never put a timeline on that.
But we repeatedly have asked for it.
We have asked for it, but we never put a timeline to that.
perhaps it's time we put a timeline on it.
So isn't he in, in violation of our previous cease and desist?
I don't think we've.
We said you had to give us a
Yeah, I
survey.
don't remember. I
Yeah.
would have to see the documentation.
I do not believe we gave him a cease and desist prior. We
Or a violation, or whatever it was.
Different house.
again,
No,
I
it
don't
wasn't.
think we gave him a formal violation yet. I believe this is the
That's
first
when we did the site walk.
formal violation we gave
Yeah.
Reinhard, but I can take a dig back through what we had said at that meeting. And because, again, to my memory, we never put an official timeline on the survey, never put an official timeline on anything.
Yeah.
We were mostly waiting to get that final as-built in to see exactly what happened to the property.
So I think that's what we definitely need to do is to have you do that. Just get the timeline and what formal documentation is done so that we know where we're working from. And obviously, if you've already done the cease and correct, that's probably, maybe you have to talk to the town attorney, I don't know.
Yeah.
If that has to stand, then I think we do have to issue a new cease and desist. But
Definitely.
chances are he's got 3 days to do whatever he's gonna do based legally on that. I think if this erosion control isn't up tomorrow, then I think maybe we have we might have to issue our first fine.
Well, again, the cease and desist order, he has 10 days, so it wouldn't be just tomorrow.
All right, yeah.
It would be, he has till the end of the day, Friday.
Okay, all right.
And then if nothing happens, if on Monday,
Okay, yeah.
still things are in poor condition, we can then take further action.
New one, okay.
He also hasn't put in that dry well. It was supposed to go in the backyard to help with
Yeah,
the water
I
flow.
don't know if he did or not.
No, he
yeah.
hasn't.
But again, so.
If you look at the pictures.
Yeah, so maybe you can also go through
is
your,
also
make a note,
erosion
go through
issues.
the documentation, make sure that was in there for sure as a condition, the dry well.
It was.
Yeah,
I'll double
I wanna
check.
Make sure.
I'll
because
double check.
sometimes Comes with him, I think there were some things that he said he would do.
Yeah. No, that was
Yeah.
part of the conditions.
Yeah,
And the drainage from the roof and everything was supposed to go to
yes,
that dry
yeah, I
well.
remember that, but let's make sure that that was documented in there. So that we have it,
Yeah.
we have all our ducks in a row
Yeah.
for
Good
that.
point.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the left side, they haven't done
Yeah.
anything with, the
Yeah.
swale. So that's another
Yep.
issue, with the wetlands. It's supposed to be the swale on the left side. Yep,
I don't think there's much else we can do until that's
No.
done.
Yeah.
All right, so just to kind of recap what we just discussed, I'll dig back through our documents. I'll get the timeline of the events. I'll see what formal documentation we have in terms of enforcement actions, because I believe this is the only one that we have, but I could be misremembering. And I'll double check the dry well condition, see where that did or did not pop up.
Thank you.
Did
Oh, I know
you
what's in
issue him a formal cease and correct?
Not at this time.
Oh, okay, but you.
I sent him an email saying that the cease and desist would change to a cease and correct.
Okay, thank you.
But you haven't done it.
Not at this time, no.
The cease and desist is still in place.
You might want to check with
Check with the attorney.
Just to make sure, just to save everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you don't legally have a document,
Right, then it's still.
Yeah, if
It's
it
still in
wasn't
place.
officially issued, then it's still in place, right?
right,
Well, he has the email, but.
But-
But,
but that's not the legal document.
yeah.
No, understood. I didn't think about that this morning when I had the conversation, so
Okay.
understood.
Yep.
Well, because honestly, the cease and desist actually says not only cease and desist from activities, but take corrective action.
Yeah.
Right.
So technically, that also said that, but repair the erosion, so that, either way, the erosion control stands, it has to be done.
Oh, regardless, correct.
Stands, right.
Right.
So that,
That is already on there. On the cease
and
and
that
desist.
should have been done 10 days after 8/26.
Which, as I stated, he has
Today's
until
right.
Today's
the
like the
end of
second.
Friday.
Right, it's still, okay, that's 10 days.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense, yeah, right, okay. Yeah. I would talk to the attorney or Lori or whoever and see,
Correct document.
to see the best way to move forward on that side
haven't
for
seen one.
legal purposes.
Yep.
And we haven't seen the corrective
Yeah,
document.
Well, like as I stated, I had
Didn't
that
make it.
conversation
You
with
didn't
them
do
this
it.
morning. I just didn't
Yeah.
do the formal yet.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. Moving on, planning and staff report.
Only thing I have to mention at this time is in your packets, you did receive the proposed schedule for the 2025 and 2020, the remainder of 2025 and the 2026 meeting schedule. If you all had the time to look it over, would you feel comfortable making comments on it now? Do you all want to wait till the next meeting? Up to you.
He's got a question.
huh? No, I just said I gotta look. I
Oh,
mean,
you're looking. The question I had was, they have November 4th here, which is a Wednesday, because November 3rd is election day, but normally we just cancel. We keep it on the Tuesday, and then it gets canceled. So, and it does say something
Well, that's a
about.
Wednesday, yeah.
It says something about a conflict with that or something. No, that's a schedule, yeah, it's a scheduling conflict. Has the two little stars after it.
Right, so I believe the idea is instead of doing it on that Tuesday, do it on that Wednesday. So it's not interfering with the election.
Well, why don't we leave it open until we find out if we have any work, applications for that date, and if not, we can cancel it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'd keep it on the 3rd, and then ahead of time, we'd say, do we have any applications or work?
So for now, keep it on the 3rd and then
3rd.
change it as it comes up. Okay.
It comes up, right?
And then
Then there's no schedule.
Chairperson Donna, I'm still trying to figure out what the term I
You're
should
good,
say.
you're good.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember we
yeah.
spoke earlier about the concert series
Yeah.
for June and July. I confirmed with Lori earlier today that if we do send this schedule out, that those won't need to be special meetings. That will just be regular meetings at 6 o'clock.
Oh, we can
as opposed to
do
the
6
7. So we can do that.
Yeah, I asked him if we could put the original time instead of 6 o'clock.
Yeah, as long as it's out
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Yeah, and then we don't have to have special meetings. We
Right.
could,
I like that you showed all the, the dates for all the,
Yeah, no, this is actually.
oh, everybody else.
yeah, this is,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do that. That's our wonderful other Donna. She did all that.
Please tell
take
her
credit. You
that
can take
showing
credit.
us the holidays was a good idea. Any
Yeah.
special days was a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily, I mean, we know where Christmas is, but we don't necessarily know all of them. So thank her for us.
Yeah, that was good.
Pass along the kudos.
So do we want to approve it, or we want
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed 2025-26 meeting schedule
With the change.
with
With the amendment.
amendments as discussed.
Second?
to, who seconded, Kelly?
Oh, that's okay.
Go ahead.
Ken can take it.
You can take it.
All right, which one?
We're going to co-second
coin.
it.
Kelly? Okay.
Kelly? Okay.
Well, Kevin, and then Kelly. Okay, any more discussion? Roll call.
I would like inland wetland to be green next time. Just
Okay, go ahead. Roll call, please.
Donna Corbin Sabinski. Kevin Zorda.
yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. So we have an application to be received, is IW 717, 75 Oliver Road, modification of a wetlands permit for a single-family home, Huron Homes LLC, applicant owner, map 47, lot 63, R44. Next is miscellaneous. Yeah, this is the same. Okay, miscellaneous. So I have a question. Notice of actions. I tried finding them online. I couldn't find them anywhere. Now, Ginny showed me it shows up in the newspaper, but is it online anywhere?
What do you mean by notice of actions?
So when it, when we, go ahead, Rebecca. No? You want to say anything?
I asked this previously, and it's my understanding that they're not posted on Civic Clerk or elsewhere on the town website anymore. Because sometimes I use them as a reference point for when I do minutes, just to ensure accuracy. And the response I got from town staff is that they're not posted anymore, so I don't know, maybe
you
check
had
with
to
the
post them.
clerk's office. I have not been able to find them anywhere.
I know. I searched and searched and searched. I could not find them anywhere. And they used to put them on with our application, like in the meeting minutes, then under it would be a notice of action. That's, I thought they had to post them.
Well, I send our
guess
applicants
not.
notice of decisions,
Right.
but
Yeah,
As long as they're publicized,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's the legal requirement,
Right. And since we do it.
right?
In the,
Yeah.
oh, so when it's in the paper, though, it just says wetlands notice. It doesn't say who, what town. So if they can make it say Enfield, Town of Enfield wetlands notice. See, because above it says public notices, Town of Manchester, legal notices, then it comes down and it's wetland notice. Is it Enfield? Or is it
interesting.
Manchester? Or is it somebody else?
I wonder if that depends on also the publisher, because I'm not sure if that's
I don't
something
know.
that's with the
Yeah.
Journal Enquirer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you send it, your office sends it to the JI. They verify what you send them, and then they put what you send them in the newspaper. So apparently when it's being sent,
don't
no
have the word
notification of Town of Enfield, or at least it should say Enfield agent approvals.
If Ginny's correct, because I've had to send in legal notices as you have, and they just verbatim just put whatever you
Yep.
Yeah.
put. Yes.
So if they could just add the word Enfield or Town of Enfield or whatever everybody else is doing.
It's good to save money, but it's nice to know which town.
Which town it's for.
One word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Enfield. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I looked everywhere. I couldn't find those things nowhere.
And just commissioners, make sure you keep this documentation because these are all open cease and
Violations.
desist.
Yeah.
Yep.
And please do not discuss any of them outside
Right.
of this chamber.
One more thing under miscellaneous. One of the previous violations, if you remember, 263 North Maple Street, it was a violation for zoning 293 and 295 where they expanded out. It's Plaza Excavation.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
expanded out to 263.
Right.
The owner at the time had done work on Jawbrook River, or not River, but Brook. I issued him a notice of violation, and he never showed up. However, he did come into the office, and he was supposed to submit in plans and an application for wetlands, and he hasn't done so. The violation notice went out June 25th. I spoke to the attorney for the now, he's since, they sold the property. The attorney for the new owner, who unfortunately has passed away also. So there's legal matters going on with that. But at the time, this individual was in violation because he never submitted, or she never submitted the application to do the work. So this is just open right now. If, I'm thinking that if we don't get an action within a couple weeks, that we either go with the fines or I issue a cease and desist, one or the other, because right now it's just not going anyplace at this point in time.
Yeah, but if the new owner died, or
The new owner passed away, yes.
Yeah.
You have to
I
send
can't-
it to the estate.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, no,
see-
no, that's not, I'm not sending a violation to the new owner. This
is the
took
old
place as
The original owner.
by the original owner. They're the ones that are in violation, not the new owner.
Okay.
So that
So you
was,
send it then?
yeah, so that was sent to him before he sold the property, or I'm sorry, her,
Yeah,
before she sold the property.
yeah.
They were the ones in violation. So I'm
But
not going
she's
to be.
passed.
No, no.
No, no, no.
Okay. I was confused. Sorry. All right. So then, is she aware that she is responsible at that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, her husband came in,
Okay.
Talk to him.
spoke to us about it. He was told exactly what he needed to do and hasn't done so at this point in time. So I think I have to kind of move on it one way or the
Right,
other.
right.
I'll
Yeah.
either issue a formal cease and desist to appear before you,
Yeah, I guess so.
or we go the route of the fine. I guess we'll see if he answers the cease and desist,
Yeah.
if they answer the cease and desist.
Yeah, I was going to ask
I'm
that.
sorry?
How is he going to rectify anything if he's not the owner of the property anymore, though?
He was the owner of the property at the time of the
I
violation.
know, but how can you go in and fix it now if he doesn't own it anymore?
You can get permission from the
Oh, get
president.
permission from
Wouldn't
Yeah.
that have transferred to the new owner? Because when you buy a property, your attorney is bound to go research the property for any violations. And as you know, because you tell them if they have any violations when they call for zoning compliance. So the new property owner bought it, lumps and all.
But I haven't had access to the agreement that they had. And in talking to the new owner's attorney, it's my understanding that that was a part of the agreement that
Had to fix it.
the previous owner was supposed to correct it. So even though they're not the owner anymore,
They made this agreement.
they made the agreement.
Okay.
Will he give you a copy of that so you can attach it to the cease
new
and
one, the new
desist?
one?
I don't know
Put
at
it
this
in the
point in
file?
time. They're in the process of,
Doing
the owner
the
of the
estate,
property
yeah.
is the owner of Tri-State. There were multiple properties, multiple LLCs,
Yep.
trusts, and everything else. They're in the process of going through
Everything.
everything at this point in time. There's a soil scientist that went out onto 293 and 295 to map that. They're getting that process ready to come before you with an application for that expansion that they have already done. So, there's multiple things that have to get fixed.
It would be nice, though, if the attorney would give you a copy of that agreement from the sales, or maybe it's recorded on the town clerk's records.
Yeah, but we could issue a cease and desist to the new owner or their attorney or whatever, the estate, whatever, and then whatever they have to do with the old owner, that's on them.
Yeah.
So we
correct
just
it.
do not know how it was repaired.
But
They would then tell us
Yeah.
or bring us proof if indeed it's out of their hands and they're not responsible for it.
Right, but all I'm getting
You
at
already
is,
talked to the other people.
Yeah.
I'll try to contact the attorney tomorrow. I just don't want to waste any more time with it.
Right, you're running out of time.
No,
Yep.
no.
No, that makes sense.
It's too bad.
That's why it was issued before the sale,
Yeah, yeah.
before the
Right,
sale
right.
of the property.
Yeah.
So you could get that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, I forgot one more thing. Stephen, you have been with us for 1 year. Yay! 1 year tomorrow.
Thank you.
And he's still here.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. You're not looking anywhere else yet, are you?
Yeah.
Don't give them any ideas.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
That was quick. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
10.
8:10. 8:10?
That's my